Hi guys, welcome on Wednesday. Together with Anna Prusińska, a psychotherapist and a couples counselor, and myself, life coach and CBT therapist, we have interesting topic to discuss today. We're going to talk about communication and common mistakes in communication in relationships, especially when it comes to romantic relationships. So, what mistakes do we do? Why do we make them? How does it really look? And what does it create in our relation with the other person? And how to prevent those mistakes. So it's a big topic, considering that communication is one of the biggest pillars or biggest fundaments in a healthy relationship, right, Anna?
Yeah,
Is
that's true.
something
And the
essential.
biggest, the first cause of many splits between couples, the main cause, the main reason why
Mm,
we are not having proper relationships, why we not have connection with our partners. It's because we don't know how to talk to each other, because we don't know how to connect to each other through communication. And this
yeah.
is really crucial for any healthy relationship.
Yeah. And let's have a look. Let's stop for a second and let's have a look like where does it all start? Because for me, I think I mean, it's obvious we are taught how to communicate from early age.
Yeah.
We are told by our carers, by our parents, by our immediate environment
Mhm.
how to express or how not to express ourselves.
You
Some
mean
of
these corrections, these scoldings? What?
Yes.
Tell me a bit more.
So what I mean is, like, many of us have grew up in families where healthy communication and talking about
Mhm.
problems and talking about how we feel was not encouraged.
Yeah.
So many of us as children have developed the belief, limiting belief, and a habit that
Mhm.
we should not be opening up, that we should not really saying what lies on our heart,
Mhm.
because it's not something you do. And if you feel
Mhm.
sad, you should snap out of it, you should get out of it, and not let yourself cry, and not let
Mhm.
yourself be sad.
Stop
Sit with it.
crying! What are you doing?
Yeah,
Get
or like,
up! There's nothing has happened. Just move on.
yeah, I mean, reactions are very different, aren't they? Sometimes some of us might be told, "Oh, darling, this is not something you should cry about. It's not worth it. Um,
Nothing. Yeah. Your
this is
feelings don't
nothing."
matter.
And this really what it does, and most of us, of course, now that we are parents, don't realize that what we're doing, we are invalidating the feelings of the other person.
Yeah. Yeah.
Basically, what we are doing is we are telling the other person, your feelings don't matter. They're not real. Your feelings are not real. Um, you have to ignore this feeling and you should be feeling this and this instead. Right?
I really love, Ella, that you have started from children, because
Yeah.
when we are with our partners in a romantic relationship, we are a bit like kids, because you
Mm,
become so vulnerable. Like your
mm,
heart is open, that you are like
yeah.
this small little girl, small little boy again, completely open to hurt. And
Mm,
that's what's happening. That's what you recreate then in this
yeah.
relationship when you devalue each other, when you
Yeah.
treat each other like, unfortunately, your parents have treated you, perhaps.
Yeah, totally. So I was just going to that, getting to that. But yes, how crazy is it that we recreate those false beliefs,
Mhm.
those situations, we recreate those events, we trigger each other, and it almost like we peel the plaster off.
Mm,
Those people who have not healed their childhood traumas, who have not truly understood who they are, what is their life purpose, who didn't let themselves explore themselves enough to cry when they want to cry, to deal with past traumas, these people are actually on the surface might seem like they're balanced and composed and well put together, but inside the world
Yeah.
is crumbling.
Well, that's how their parent expected them to look like.
Yeah.
Perfect, put together, like perfect girl, perfect boy, showing off for
Yeah.
everyone else in society, right? Uh,
Right, exactly.
let's say this example. Like, I think it's really great that we are using this example because it can give a bigger picture for someone. Because very often when you think in theory only, we don't always take it personally, or we don't always can relate. We can't relate that to what has happened to us
Of
somehow.
course.
But when we give these examples, Ella, I think it will really be helpful for some people who got similar experience, perhaps.
Mm. Are you suggesting I should share some examples from my life or?
Yeah, like we've already shared some, and obviously
Mhm.
we can share even more. But I think this is like quite good.
Yeah. Oh,
That
yeah.
that
I mean,
this example.
this topic is very juicy, I think, for many people, but it because it is so important for so many people, I think our message should be very clear
Yeah.
in what goes wrong and when. And
Mhm.
one and to help people visualize it better, understand it better. So I would start with, a common situation where perhaps we are single, we are looking for a partner, we're looking for this other person in our life,
Mhm.
as we often falsely call it, our other half.
Yeah.
And we're looking for this person, and then we meet this person. Now, on the surface, this person looks excellent. Let's say it's a handsome man, beautiful woman, wearing nice clothes, looking really elegant, right?
Mm.
Having good manners,
Yeah.
perhaps.
Great job position.
Great job, great career. What else do we want, from a perfect partner material, right? You could ask. And it's a very good question to ask. What else do you want?
Mm.
Well, there is loads more we want, that's for sure. And emotional vulnerability is one of them,
Yeah.
right?
That's
Being,
the presentation that, when we look in social media, you can open any social media at the moment, and there is so much impact on this looks, right? On
Mhm,
presentation of yourself,
of
of
course.
being perfect, right? And somehow this vulnerability is lost. you
Oh,
cannot
yeah.
you cannot see this straight away, right? That
Yeah.
something is wrong, that this person is hurting, that they might have some childhood wounds, that they are
Mm,
not showing straight away. It takes time to see this in a person, and in this
yeah.
dating mode usually it's like few months at least.
If not few years. In my case, it was few years with my husband. Uh,
Yes.
but here we go. But I
Mhm.
think the reason people don't show it is number of different reasons. First of all, people often consciously or subconsciously use social media to present themselves in the best light
Yeah.
and not show all the parts of who they really are. But also, there is a huge risk that when we open up and become vulnerable, we will get rejected, um,
Mhm.
criticized, not accepted, or even hated.
Yes.
Um, so people don't have the courage or perhaps some perhaps don't have the need, but many people don't have the courage to be their true selves,
Mhm.
online as well as offline,
Mhm.
because there is certain expectations of how you should be, how you should behave, what you should and shouldn't say, especially on first, second, third date, and so on. And I think it's an interesting topic, isn't it? Because we have a certain expectations when we start a relationship with a new person or we start dating another person. We might not realize what our expectations are.
And
And
how we communicate them.
oh
And
yeah, or how we not communicate them at all.
exactly. And wait for this partner to just meet our needs,
Yeah,
wants
subconsciously
without
read in our mind and solve all of our problems, right?
Mhm.
But the other person also has set of expectations, and they might be comfortable to talk about some of them, but perhaps not all of them. And here comes the bit that is unspoken truth
Yeah.
about us. And it's like the two people meet, and of course there is the odd situation when we hit it off with someone so well that it's practically like they know everything about us. This happens quite rarely, but it is a possibility. But I think in most cases people are very cautious what they say and what they don't say, and how they communicate their
Mm.
expectations,
Mm.
their needs and their values,
Mm.
right? And
And this is somewhat normal that at the beginning you want to present the best version of yourself to
of course,
this person, like to somehow lure them, you know.
yes,
I'm really a good one for you, you're a good one for me, and you fall in love somehow in a potential sometimes, or
yeah,
best
totally.
version of the other one, right? And like this is somewhat normal, but some people go too far with that at the beginning. They present completely false versions of themselves as well, because they
Mm,
are hiding their vulnerabilities, their weaknesses, their
their
issues,
trauma, their
their
traumas, their
traumas.
issues.
It's completely hidden, yeah.
Yeah,
And it's sometimes hidden from themselves even. They even don't know
yeah.
about that. They know that they should present somehow themselves to this other person to form the relationship, to form the attachment without these parts,
Mm,
because then they wouldn't be perhaps accepted. And at the same time, like they were not accepted by their parents, that they were saying them, you don't, you cannot feel this way, you shouldn't behave this way,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. So I want to totally agree with you. I want to give you an example of a client I had recently. It was a man, actually. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and he is divorced, and he wants to, let's call him Michael.
All right.
Right? And Michael really wanted a serious relationship with a beautiful, smart woman. And he came to me for coaching on
Mm-hmm.
how he can get there, how to prepare himself for this new chapter in his life, um,
Mm-hmm.
and what can he do and what has been stopping him.
Mm.
Because according to him, he's a fantastic guy. He didn't deserve anything that happened to him in the past in terms of misfortune in a relationship.
So he completely doesn't own his mistakes, from what I'm hearing.
Yes, yes, correct.
That might
And
be
my
hard.
role was to discuss some
But
of that.
congratulations to him that he even decided for that, because very many people do not even try to go for therapy.
Yeah,
Very many people just leave this really, I would say, the most
I know.
important
I know.
part of life for just a lack,
Yeah.
for just
You
without
know,
knowledge.
you know what I think it is, Anya? I think it's he thinks of himself as such a great guy
Mhm.
that he could not understand what on heaven's earth is preventing women from falling into him and
Oh.
forming a relationship with him.
Hmm.
And this is very tricky. Maybe I would say common as well, can be common, but it's quite tricky for a person who has very slight narcissistic capabilities
Mhm.
of seeing his own weaknesses or mistakes, right?
Mhm.
And in this instance, of course, there were reasons why this has been happening. But what I want to share with you is that this is, and I hope this is helpful for everybody who's watching this.
Mhm.
When I ask him, talk me through how your conversations with new women look like. Let's say you've met someone online, offline. How do you talk to them? What do you want to, what do you talk to them about? What do you share? What is important to you? What do you discuss?
Right, the communication.
Communication, which is what we're discussing today. And he started opening up and telling me all this. And it turned out that most of the time, he was actually so focused on himself that he didn't give the other person a chance to explore the connection with him. So what I mean by that is, first of all, he didn't ask any questions that would be emotionally mature questions to his potential new partner. For example, tell me about your values. What do you value in life? Tell me about your goals or your aspirations.
Oh, that's huge.
What do you dream about? What do you want to achieve in life? What are your dreams? We're not talking about just one chat. We are talking about a scenario where he was dating someone for 2-3 months, let's say. And it turned out there was very few conversations about what the other person is interested in, what do they want, what is important to them, and how he can fit in that. So he can assess his role in that sort of scenario, right? And that's
You know what I'm wondering,
dynamic.
Ella, when you were saying that, I wonder if he knows what he wants in life, if he's got these goals and dreams, because sometimes people, you know,
I'm
don't
not
have
aware.
it there themselves. They don't
Yeah,
know it themselves. So
totally.
it's hard for them to even be curious in this matter with the other person. Maybe like
That's a very good point.
some people just go into relationship to not to be lonely.
Yes,
To
I was
just
just
have
getting to that.
someone.
I was just getting to that. And
Ex, have family, children, and this is the goal. But like all the other things are somewhere not existent. Yeah,
not
non-existent.
explored, not
Non-explored.
explored,
Yeah.
not all brushed under the carpet, which very often stems from the sort of upbringing in the family home where we were not encouraged to believe in our dreams, where we were not encouraged to explore our creative side, where we were not encouraged to believe in ourselves and have confidence,
Yeah. You just
where
have to behave, right?
where
Just
we were
behave.
coached to fit into a system.
Mhm.
We were coached by our parents, mentored by our parents, how to fit into the larger system of the society. Who are you going to become? What picture are you going to fit in,
Yeah.
right? And then suddenly, this guy finds himself in his late 40s, early 50s, single, right? Having one major divorce, one broken contact with his son, one relationship or in fact, 2 or 3 relationships, long-term relationships that have finished. And he is desperately lonely.
Yeah.
And of course, there is a way to communicate that to a client. There is
Sounds
a way
so sad, you know?
there is a way to make the client aware, which I did in this instance, that perhaps his lack of connection with the women he's been speaking to, lack of emotional connection, was coming from the fact that he is not connected to himself,
Yeah,
that
definitely.
he doesn't think about what is important to him and why. And how, if he doesn't realize what is truly important to him, how can he communicate that? He can't.
No,
So
it's
the
not
first,
possible. Mm.
so the first step is to understand your own value system and build that connection with yourself, with your true self,
Yeah.
um, and the self-worth, and have confidence and courage to look inside yourself to explore what positive and what limiting things are lying in there. What do I need to deal with to become the better version of myself? To
Yes,
be
that's really amazing, Ella, that he is working with you now because he's got a chance for getting to know himself better. And this is it. It's like we like float through life sometimes.
Yeah,
We just float,
totally.
fulfilling the roles and not
Yeah,
really getting deeper and thinking about what we really need, want, what is our purpose in life, like all these bigger questions that also matter when we are in a relationship. And like when I'm talking to my couples, I always tell them that people usually recreate these roles and they play the dramas. You know, when you look at your life, sometimes this is this really what's happened to me? Is this really what I'm going through? No, it's just like the movie. It's like I
yeah.
wasn't there. It's someone else was living
It's
this
like you are, it's like what you are one of the characters in your own film, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So this is what in psychodynamic theories is called like recreating unconscious patterns, right?
Mm.
Um, un like leaving out unfinished business from the past, for example.
Yeah.
So that's what we are doing most of the time in our relationships when we are not conscious of our wounds, of our
Totally.
childhood, of our hurts, our triggers. And you know what you said, like these values and goals, what you are doing with your clients during the sessions. I also like have this very simple tool, but very powerful to make them understand what they really feel and need
Of
as
course.
well.
Yeah.
So when we connect all of this, what you feel, what you need, what are your goals, what are your values, who you are, then you can start communicating and negotiating this with your partner. Because
Correct.
this is the other person. They are so different than you. They come from different background. There might be some similarities, but especially in London, right? We live in so multicultural society, and people like from completely different places all over the world,
Totally.
from completely different cultures, from completely different social classes, right? So we all mix together, and it is even harder, even from one culture, from the same like background, people have issues to get together. And if
Yeah.
you add on top of that additional challenges, it becomes really huge, it becomes really messy. And if you don't know yourself, where does that come from? It's really very hard to have a good relationship nowadays.
Yeah. So I want to go back for a minute to this scenario with this guy, with this client of mine, because I want to let the viewers and listeners know what options he has got right
Yeah.
here. So from our perspective, from my perspective as a coach and a therapist, I would 100% advise him to take a break from all the dating, and because he's been doing it back to back pretty much, he was getting out of one relationship and going straight into another,
Oh.
and or into dating straight away, and
Mhm,
not having time to get to know himself and
mhm.
understand more about where he's going in life and where.
Sounds like he's a bit desperate. He's very lonely.
Yeah. So see this. So let's say he has spent some time on getting to know himself, either individually or working with someone like me.
Yes.
He clarifies and has gains clarity on his value system, on his priorities, on
Mhm,
what he brings to the relationship
mhm.
and what he wants to get out of it.
Yes.
Because let me remind you, it's not one-way street. It's
Yeah.
not about the other person fulfilling our needs and our desires and
Mhm,
admiring us. And we also have a role to play. We cannot be passive
mhm,
in it.
mhm.
We
How
need
does he take it from you? Because you have to offer him some challenges during these sessions. He needs to be challenged to see the other side of the coin.
No, totally. So we discuss this. We discuss this openly and politely, and talk about the meaning this has for him, or what type of person he would like to be with and why.
Mm,
And the why is very important, because it cannot be just an attractive partner. It cannot be just someone physically attracted, because that's not how you build long-term relationship on physical attraction. It might start from that, but you going into a connection and communication. And communication, as boring as it sounds, is one of the most important skills in our lifetime, both in romantic relationships and at work and in our communities, everywhere we go. Connecting with people and communicating with people, solving problems together, is one of the most important skills we can have. So to summarize this case study, we have now been working for 3 months together, and he's getting clearer on his value system, what has been stopping him, and how did his parents contributed to his image of himself. So the way he perceives himself in and outside of a relationship, which has turned to be very limiting. So he's always been looking for this partner and immediately has been putting them on a pedestal, thinking they're better than him, thinking that he must earn their love, thinking that he's not quite good enough to deserve that love, but he will try his hardest. And then in the moments where often he was getting somewhere with that new person, he would be pulling away and leaving the other person guessing why on earth he is pulling away.
That sounds very very disorganized attachment he's got.
Yeah.
Very
And it stems from his childhood. Stems from his childhood and family home. Anyway, he is now able to articulate his values, his needs. He talks openly about who he is. He talks with courage about what he is planning to achieve in his professional life. He is able to share his dreams, his desires. And now that he has this knowledge that he's still building of himself, he is able to offer the other person the same. An opportunity to open up and talk about all these topics together.
Yeah, so this is really nice, because when he is ready to date again, he can, even discuss this during during the coaching session, right? Am I doing this right? Am I doing it maybe not exact way that it should be? What should I ask this person? Like, what I shouldn't talk about straightforward so much, and how should I communicate my vulnerabilities, for example? So it's really a lot of work, but that's so fulfilling for this person and for us when we are working with the clients.
Yeah.
No, what I'm thinking, like I'm thinking of completely other example of one of my couples where this couple got a bit different problem. So it was they were talking too much. So there
Okay, I see.
Yes, so there are very many people now trying this personal development, the growth courses,
Yes.
we are trying to get better, right? But the other side of the coin is that when we are having all of this knowledge, we tend to intellectualize, and I can observe this so often in like so-called conscious people, like more enlightened even people who are trying to use spiritual bypassing or intellectualization as a defense to not to get closer together, and they have like hours of conversation that leads to nowhere, really.
Give me example. I'm dying to know.
Yeah, so yeah, I got this one of these couples that these hours of conversations were tiring them,
Right.
and they couldn't get to any understanding. There were still some kind of resentments between each other. They didn't feel comfortable with each other because of that, because it was too much, right? It's like it might sound like for the other person like it's overwhelming, like if someone wants to talk constantly about their internal world and their feelings and their thoughts and their needs. Maybe it would be easier if it wouldn't be so connected to insecurity.
Okay.
But if, for example, one partner is like more on insecure spectrum, right? And
Yeah.
they are not so sure about the feelings of the other partner and how they treat them. So the classic dynamic like in couples, like pursuer withdrawer, right?
Yeah.
And if you add like a lot of this, knowledge, like psychological knowledge, so the discussion can drag for hours.
Oh my goodness. Were they from psychology background?
No, they are not, but they are both trying to learn more and more about these topics,
Okay.
and that they are having some spiritual practices as well.
Okay. So
And
sounds like two intellectual types that are very interested
yeah,
in exploring their spiritual side or emotional side, and they're
yes,
intellectualizing the process rather than talking vulnerably, right?
yes,
From the
yes,
place of
yes,
sharing, from the place of vulnerability.
and sometimes not noticing like the gaps in their thinking. That even if you have knowledge about something, you don't see your own defense. Someone else, like therapist, or I don't know, someone who is like more skilled, or your very close friend who is very conscious, they
Mhm.
can look at you and look at this gap and tell you that. And you can get this feedback and say, okay, am I really doing this?
Give me an example of a gap because I can't picture it.
So about this Johari window, right? So there are things that we know about ourselves,
Hmm.
yeah, and other people know about
Okay.
ourselves,
Yeah.
right? So this is something that is visible, right? For example, that oh, Ella is always like quite energetic person. That's who she is,
Yeah.
right? And everyone sees that. You know that. Your family knows that. Your friends knows that. Everyone knows that. But there are things that other people can see, but you can't see. Yeah, there
Hmm.
is something that you express, like for example, this guy who came to your therapy, right?
Hmm.
So who came to you for help.
Yeah.
I don't
Totally.
know what I'm doing wrong. He doesn't know that.
Yeah.
He does. It's this blind point that
Mm.
he's not able to see. That he's actually not able to connect fully to the other person because of his disorganized attachment styles, that he pedestalizing the person and then withdrawing from the relationship, yeah.
Mm.
um Probably, as you said, because of his relationship with his mom or dad or both of them, that was quite chaotic and not consistent.
Yeah.
Yeah, that probably they were pedestalizing him and then putting him down. So once he was perfect, and the other one he was nothing. The other time he was nothing. Let's say so. I don't know what's his story, but that's what intuitively comes to me when I'm listening to this story, and I'm quite good intuitively when I'm working
Yeah.
with my clients, yeah,
So
about their stories.
let's think about it, Anya. So we are coming slowly to the end of this very interesting conversation that I hope many people can benefit from. But maybe we can summarize in a couple of points and say, why is communication and being emotionally vulnerable so important to
Mm-hmm.
our romantic relationship, to the quality of it? Why is it so important, and how can we practice it? Because and maybe I can start. In my opinion, poor communication or lack of communication, and not just my opinion, but the studies as well show it's one of the biggest reasons for divorces these days. So communication or the lack thereof is something that is a very big contributing factor to the end of a relationship, to the ending, um, to the slow, you could say, slow finish. Sometimes it takes months, sometimes it takes years, but one thing that is leading to that poor or lack of communication is our inability to talk about the difficult feelings. It's our lack of ability to talk about difficult feelings, difficult events, and things that are truly important to us.
Yeah,
And there
definitely.
might be different reasons why we find it difficult to open up and talk about it. Many of them are stored in our subconscious belief system, right?
Yeah.
But here, people like you and I can really help uncover that.
Mm.
Another reason why I think communication is so important is because it allows us to be our true selves in a relationship. And that is a beautiful place to be. And it's a very unique place to be. And it's really the only thing that will help us ensure our relationship. It's not the only thing, but without being our true selves in a relationship, our chances are very limited that our relationship will last.
Yeah.
Because whenever we put a front on, whenever we pretend that we are okay with something, whenever we agree to things other people want us to do, but we don't want them to do, this cannot last very long. Sooner or later, there will be a feeling of resentment, a feeling of dissatisfaction, and a disconnection with yourself.
Mm.
And sooner or later, you will need to choose between your relationship with yourself and your relationship with this other person.
Yeah, these are
And
very important points. What I would add to this also, that when you are in a relationships, you can like find these gaps, right? That we
Mhm.
were talking about before. So you don't fully see yourself. Your partner can see you,
Yeah.
right? That's what relationship is for. So we don't only relate just for the sake of relating, but for creating something better, for becoming something better, right? And
Yeah.
if you are not able to communicate your hurt, how your partner hurts you to him or her,
Mhm.
so you are not only putting yourself down, you are not only yourself,
Mhm.
you are not only hurting emotionally in this relationship, but you are not giving yourself and him or her the chance to become a better person. Because
Totally.
we need these corrections to
Mm.
become better,
Yeah.
emotionally and spiritually, to grow together in life, right?
Mm.
And together achieve some form of like
Striving
consciousness,
striving to become better, right?
like wholeness, consciousness. And that's why these relationships are so important. This unity leads us to something greater even than ourselves. This this
And
is
it's
very
acting
deep.
as a mirror. Let's remember, guys, our partners, how much, whatever we level of love and respect we have for them and infatuation, they will always act as our teacher and our mirror.
Yeah.
They will always show us the areas in us that need attention. And they will reflect to us the areas that we need to work on to get to manage better, to heal,
Mm,
to give attention to, so that we can become a better version of ourselves and therefore be a better partner for the other person.
yeah.
So communication in relationship is not about highlighting you are wrong and I'm right. It's not about proving who is wrong and who is right. It's not about pointing fingers. It's not about arguing to the point where you can't breathe or, slamming doors.
Mm,
Communication, first of all, happens internally with yourself.
yeah.
It's the quiet dialogue, if you allow yourself to have one with yourself,
Mm,
that it's the self exploration, is the self reflection and seeing logic and sense in the other person's reaction, and asking yourself, what could this mean to me? Why is this person behaving this way? And how is that reflecting to me what I'm struggling with? Because it's only the things that really trigger us in the behavior of others that are the parts that we need to heal, right?
And no, just also summarizing, you can really learn a lot how to do that. What kind of tools you can use with your partner, like how do you communicate this feeling? First, how you get these feelings, how you recognize the wound, and then how you communicate this all feelings, needs, values, goals to your partner. You can learn during our workshop that we are going to have with Ella very soon. It was 25th of June.
Yes.
If any of you have any difficulties in relationship, in communication so far, you failed, like you lost a partner, yes, you got divorced, like you are currently looking for someone, or you're
You're
currently
feeling
in a
lonely,
difficult,
you're feeling
yeah,
misunderstood.
yeah, and you can feel lonely even in your relationship if you don't have proper communication. So if you would like to change that, if you would like to really change your relationship, change the next relationship that you are going to have for a fulfilling one, for really something that leads you to this bigger unity between you and your partner, like fulfilling your needs, your purpose in life together, right? So if you really want that, let's start from communication, and we can help you to learn that. We can help you
Yes.
to express yourself better, and we can have this session together on the 25th of June online from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. It's a 3-hour workshop with Ella. There is a lot of materials that we have for you, a lot of knowledge, all much more than we even tried to cover today.
Yeah.
And on top of that, a lot of practice, a lot of practical tips, how you can really start the conversation, what to do during the conversation, what words to use, a lot of exercises for you guys. So please message us, talk to us. If you have any other questions, just let us know. And we will definitely have another meeting, another recording like this for you before this webinars. Once more next week and the week before the webinar. So please let us know, can you join? And
See you there. Yeah. I want to just add to that. Thank you, Anya. I want to add to that. Guys, communication is a huge topic and a huge value as a skill in our lives. Communication is something that can make or break a relationship, that can make or break a friendship. And precisely because of that, we have created this webinar, this workshop happening on the 25th of June at 6 p.m. Details of that are in the comment underneath this video, to help you navigate through communication in your relationship, to learn methods and techniques that will help you create more intimacy, create more trust, create better friendship with your partner. So it's really important that you join us. We have purposely created the prices for it as very accessible for maximum people to join. And this is happening online, 6 p.m., 25th of June. And the link is below. In the meantime, if you have, like Anna said, any questions about the workshop or about healthy communication, you can find our details underneath this video. You can follow us for more or send us a message and ask your question. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you for listening.
And see you soon, Anna. Nice talking to you. Take care.
Bye.